yes, for example, because it's a good excuse. I don't need to spend any time. I'm driving. I can just... My new channel, people. Because I feel sad for those coming to Japan, trying to stay, and those studying Japanese in a totally wrong way. So maybe I can give view from the reality as a foreigner who came to Japan with no Japanese and still shit Japanese. Yes, very shit. I can show you guys how we live in a countryside and what we do here. Oh, for example, ta-da! It's very far, maybe hard to see. Kirepire. But we're going to Hakoda today for snowboarding. What's today? March 2nd? 3月 4th March. And what's today? Tuesday, Kayobi. So we have Tuesday, and most of well, you or people who are coming to Japan, staying in Tokyo, forget it. Forget it. You're working like a slave now until 10 p.m. going back to your very small apartment and going to bed, yes, listening to the neighbor taking shower behind your wall. So that's the main reason why we live in the countryside, yes. One of the reasons. Mia sensei was living in Tokyo, and you decided to say bye-bye Japan or live in a countryside. So there are many reasons, not only foreigners but only Japanese, and young Japanese, as you can see, prefer countryside for many reasons. Mia was working in ANA before, yes, full-time proper job, dream job. And she decided that maybe that's not the best idea. And about studying Japanese, well, very simple. If you study JLPT, forget about living in Japan, staying in Japan, or getting even a job. That's the very big message. And as a language teacher, Coco, Japanese teacher, you can say maybe something about me studying for JLPT.
So, studying for JLPT, nothing really. You don't really need JLPT to live in Japan.
You don't need JLPT. Well, as you can see at me, you don't need even Japanese. I'm not saying don't study Japanese, because it's very helpful when you know.
Yes, well, yeah, absolutely. You want to know some Japanese if you want to live in Japan, but JLPT is not like the best option.
Very nicely said.
Like many, like a few of my students, like who pass like JLPT and 1 and 2. But their speaking level is like still, I would say, beginner. So just focusing on JLPT doesn't give you any real Japanese conversation skills.
Well, you are saying very nice because you are Japanese. I can say more direct. It's a waste of time and money, and you don't need to come to Japan, go to any language school to pass JLPT. And 90% of people, they don't need JLPT, and that's why they never stay or speak, because they study JLPT. You can hang that JLPT certificate in your toilet later. Because as an English native speaker, for example, if you are, you can imagine Asian students coming to your country and passing TOEFL, IELTS and other tests,
yes.
TOEIC, and what do you think about that? Well, answer yourself, so I don't need to swear too much. How much you care about Asian students in your country passing exams, and if you would employ them based on the language certificate score? I don't think so. And it works exactly same in Japan. So speaking is more important, and the culture. So I'm not a native English speaker, guys, and I was offered many times better English teacher positions than native English teachers with experience. Having nothing, no license, not being native, and never being a teacher before. So many natives are not happy with that, but that's the reality. Also, most of the people coming back to our home country are those living in Tokyo. I've never heard of anyone living in a countryside going back to the country, unless, you know, they were like ALTs, that they go back. But most of the unsuccessful attempts for foreigners staying in Japan are only those trying to stay in Tokyo. So that's why I will smash in the next videos, guys, those who say Tokyo life is good or they think it's even better, with evidence, and I'm more than happy to find contra evidence from someone who lives in Tokyo. That's one thing, and another, we'll be talking about Japanese, studying Japanese, and what's important if you really want to stay in Japan. Because if you do what others are doing, you will end up same. You will be leaving Japan sooner than you think. I was the worst student in language school. I was drinking beer from the morning, and I was called the loser. I will never stay in Japan, find a job in Japan. And all those best students passing JLPT, you know, even N1, they are not in Japan anymore. They keep dreaming in their home countries with that certificate hanging on the wall. And who is in Japan? The worst student. So I will be giving you evidence of many things that works totally different in Japan than they teach you and they tell you, or what you think that actually works. You can see what kind of life we have here, what we do every day. For those who say there is nothing to do in the countryside, well, we're starting today with Hakoda Mountain. Many things that Tokyo people need to take a holiday to go, yes, outside of Tokyo. And you will see the number of foreigners here, basically zero. And that makes life easier for even studying Japanese. I didn't want to make any channel, but I was forced by many people, like Mia-sensei, that I should.
Very straightforward.
Very straightforward. With evidence, and we will be talking and meeting to foreigners also who are living around and moved. They've been to different parts of Japan, Tokyo, they did different things, and they can tell you also evidence that there is no single person living in Tokyo that can, as a foreigner, that can argue, because, well, if you want to argue, you need to provide some evidence and logic, which you cannot so far. I've been living here 6 years in the countryside. Mia-sensei first year.
Yeah, first year.
First year, but already enough to evidence to stay here. We will get you some footage from Hakoda Mountain, so you can compare with your view from that small, tiny apartment in the very cheap, which is still expensive, place in Tokyo. I would say around Tokyo, where most of people are staying because of the prices. But even if you stay in places like Shibuya, Shinjuku, and you pay exorbitant amount of money, you have same view, another building. And we will be telling you guys cost of living, all that renovation, free houses that are not necessarily free as you may think. We've been renovating and we are renovating. Mia will be getting her house. Yes, so you can see what's happening, and then you can choose if you want to live in your apartment in Tokyo, packing up home, because that's the end anyway, sooner or later, with zero savings, because all your salary will be gone for surviving and living. If you are a couple, then you may be lucky to save some small money, but that will get you nowhere except for holiday once a year. If you can have holiday at the same time anyway, if both of you have full-time job. And the cost of living in a countryside, well, and many things related to that, especially people. Zero stress life. So we'll see you from the mountain. Okay, Hakoda, Dozo Sensei. This is only less than 1 hour drive from home. This is probably what most of people living in Tokyo spend going to work every day. Oh, Sensei Dozo. That's why they should not study JLPT, yes? So, if you study JLPT, you can just come once a year if you're lucky, and probably weather will be shit because this mountain is closed most of the time. I mean, the gondola.